Look around your bathroom. Soap, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, hot water at the twist of a handle. Now take all of it away. Every bottle, every bar, every tube. That's not a thought experiment. That was human life for tens of thousands of years. So here's the question nobody asks. If soap didn't exist, how did our ancestors stay clean? Did they just live covered in dirt and stink? Or did they know something we've completely forgotten? Because the truth is stranger and far more clever than you'd expect. Let's start with the oldest technology on Earth. Water. Before soap, before civilization, before language as we know it, there were rivers, lakes, rain, and humans who noticed something simple. Get in the water, and the dirt leaves. Sit under a waterfall and the pounding water strips grime from skin. Roll in a cold stream and you come out different. Lighter, cleaner, awake. But water alone has a problem. Water hates oil, and human skin is covered in oil. Sweat, sebum, smoke residue, animal fat from butchering. Plain water slides right off it. So early humans reached for the next thing available. The ground itself. Sand, clay, fine ash from the fire. Rub sand on your arms and it acts like a scrub, dragging away dead skin and grease. Certain clays do something even better. They actually bind to oil and pull it off the body. Desert peoples across North Africa and Arabia developed washing rituals using clean sand when water was too precious to waste. Some are still practiced today. The first exfoliant in human history was the planet. But here's where our ancestors got genuinely brilliant. They discovered that some plants, foam, break open the root of a plant called soapwort, mix it with water, and it lathers. Crush the shells of soap nuts, which grew across India and Nepal, and you get bubbles. Yucca root in the Americas, Kiaja bark in South America, horse chestnut in Europe. All of these contain natural chemicals called saponins, and saponins do exactly what soap does. One end of the molecule grabs oil, the other end grabs water. So when you rinse, the grease goes with it. Think about that for a second. Thousands of years before chemistry existed, humans had found soap growing wild in the forest. They didn't know the molecular reason. They just knew this root cleans, and that one doesn't. And they passed that knowledge down, generation after generation, until it became tradition. In parts of South Asia, people still wash their hair with soap nuts today. Some things work too well to ever be replaced. Now let's talk about the accident that changed everything. Somewhere in the ancient world, someone noticed a pattern. When animal fat dripped into the ashes of a cooking fire and rain soaked that mixture, the greasy slime left behind cleaned things. That mixture was soap, real soap. Fat plus alkali from wood ash creates a chemical reaction we now call saponification, and humans stumbled onto it by cooking dinner. Clay tablets from ancient Mesopotamia, dating back roughly 4,000 years, describe recipes combining fats with ash-based solutions. Some of the earliest written instructions in human history were cleaning instructions. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder described a substance called sapo, made from tallow and ashes, and noted that tribes to the north used it on their hair. That word sapo is where our word soap comes from. But here's the twist most people don't know. For centuries, soap wasn't mainly for bodies. It was for laundry, for cleaning wool. Putting it on your skin came later, because the ancient world already had a different system. Welcome to ancient Egypt, a civilization obsessed with being clean. Egyptian priests didn't just wash occasionally. Some were expected to bathe multiple times a day. They shaved their heads. They shaved their bodies. Not for fashion, for hygiene. No hair meant no lice, less sweat trapped against the skin, less smell in brutal desert heat. They used natron, a natural mineral salt harvested from dried lake beds. The same substance used in mummification. It absorbed moisture, cut through oil, and disinfected. They mixed animal fats and plant oils with alkaline salts into cleansing pastes. Then they finished the job with something we've turned into a luxury: scented oil. Rubbed into the skin after washing, oil kept the body from cracking in dry air. It carried fragrance myrrh, frankincense, cinnamon, lotus, and it created a barrier that dirt struggled to stick to. To an Egyptian, clean didn't mean stripped bare. Clean meant oiled, smooth, and perfumed. The Greeks and Romans took that idea and built an entire culture around it. Here's how a Roman actually washed. No soap, no washcloth. Instead, you'd enter a heated room and let steam open your pores. Then you'd coat your body in olive oil. Yes, cover yourself in oil to get clean, because the oil mixes with the dirt, the sweat, and the grime already on your skin. Then comes the tool, a curved metal blade called a strigil. You scrape it across your skin, and it lifts everything off in one pass. Oil, dirt, dead skin, sweat gone. Then a plunge into cold water to close it all down. It sounds bizarre. It worked incredibly well. And the Roman bathhouse wasn't just about washing. It was the gym, the social club, the business meeting, the news feed. Enormous complexes with hot rooms, cold pools, exercise yards, and gardens. Some could serve thousands of people at once. Meanwhile, over 1,000 years before Rome, the cities of the Indus Valley had already built something remarkable. Brick-lined drainage running along the streets, private bathing areas inside homes, and a massive watertight public pool we now call the Great Bath. But what about the details? What about teeth? What about breath? Ancient people didn't have toothpaste. They had something arguably better: chewing sticks. You take a twig from certain trees, the areca tree in Arabia, neem in India, and chew one end until it frays into bristles. Then, you scrub. And here's the thing. Those particular woods contain natural, antibacterial compounds. The stick cleans mechanically and chemically at the same time. It's still used by millions of people today. Egyptians went further and made tooth powders, ground minerals, crushed shells, dried herbs, resins for fragrance. Abrasive, effective, and about 3,000 years ahead of schedule. For hair, people used combs, beautiful ones, carved from bone and wood, found in graves all over the ancient world. Many have fine teeth on one side. That side had one purpose: lice, and for smell, herbs, crushed leaves rubbed on the skin, resins burned as incense until the smoke soaked into clothing and hair, which, it turns out, wasn't just cosmetic smoke. Genuinely discourages insects and slows bacteria. Our ancestors smelled like wood smoke, oil, and plants. Parasites were everywhere. Lice, fleas, and intestinal worms show up constantly in ancient remains. Skin infections were common. Wounds turned deadly because nobody understood germs. For most of history, nobody connected dirt to disease. They connected disease to bad air, or bad luck, or angry gods. And there were long stretches where things got worse, not better. When the Roman bath system collapsed in Western Europe, public bathing largely went with it. Later, during waves of plague, some Europeans came to believe that hot water opened the pores and let sickness in, so they stopped bathing. Deliberately, they masked it with perfume and changes of linen instead. Meanwhile, across the medieval Islamic world, bathhouses flourished and soap-making became a genuine craft hard. And then, only recently, everything changed again. In the 1800s, doctors finally proved that invisible organisms cause disease. Hand-washing went from an odd habit to a life-saving act. Soap became cheap, mass-produced, advertised, expected. In a few generations, we went from scraping oil off our skin with a bronze blade to a shelf full of bottles promising 12 kinds of freshness. We won. Mostly. But it's worth noticing something. Our ancestors weren't filthy. They were balanced. They cleaned with rivers, roots, ash, clay, oil, and smoke. They read the landscape like a pharmacy, and they figured out chemistry without ever knowing the word. So tonight, when you turn on the shower, when you reach for a bottle without thinking, remember what that convenience replaced. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this trip into the strange, clever history of staying clean, subscribe and stick around for more stories about how our ancestors actually lived. Until next time, keep your curiosity burning.